All right. So you're all here. We're going to talk about the 2026 algorithm Alchemist, managing AI, analytics, and then authenticity. So you're not sounding like a robot when you're using your AI. Um, and then my name is Liz Taylor. I didn't write where I'm currently working at a company called People. Their product is Elephant Trust. And then before that, I was working at a startup company that was called Count. Also was acquired by an S&P 500 company that I'm not going to write their name because every time you write their name, you have to have like permission, and it's just like a whole thing. We're not going to go there. But I've been at my new company for about 5 weeks now, so drinking from the fire hose, but I'm loving it. I am a growth marketing manager there. I also do some freelance work for a ski shop, which you'll see some examples of. So as much so I like to market things that, don't tangibly physically exist, like the software, but then also, hey, you want to buy some skis? We know a guy. And then I've also worked at Boise State School of Nursing, and I developed a brand and helped them with social media there. And I did graphic design. I did all sorts of things. And Boise State was great because it taught me a lot about how to do more with less. And so, because there's pretty much no budget, and that's probably indicated, you can tell by your salary there. But there was it's still, I worked there for 6 years and I gained a lot of really good experience. So very fortunate, but I'm glad I'm at where I'm at now. Okay. So here's some metrics. So then you can maybe what I'm saying is actually legit. These are some LinkedIn metrics from Counts, or LinkedIn from like 2023, 2024 that I was able to track with like UTMs and just web traffic through our RevOps team. So my whole thing was building organic engagement and then also driving that to connecting that with pipeline revenue, and doing that with organic social is kind of like rare. You hear about like growth marketing and all the paid marketing, but using no spend and just strategy, I'm pretty proud of these numbers. All right, so we will kind of do like a strategy of B2B, D2C, yes, and then some content lifestyle as well as AI for copywriting, and then we'll just take some time afterwards to network and connect, which I think we've kind of done a little bit already, but we're taking this from my Treefort presentation. So, all right, let's go over. So for strategic growth, 4 main things are content. What's content governance? So what does that mean? Moving beyond that post and pray. So when I worked at Count, it was a little bit more lax, and then we're acquired, and then we're reporting up to the larger mothership, and they had to have like 3 months out of content planned, and there was like 6 people that had to have approvals on the content, what was being posted, and then you had to have legal approve it, and then you had to have it all like 3 months in advance. I'm like, okay, like this is not the freelance world of let's just a little more scrappy when you're doing this content creation. So looking at just having a calendar is important. Whether you're 2 weeks out or 3 months out, do whatever is going to fit your company or your business's goals and plan. And then making sure you're tailoring your content for specific social platforms. So what I'm going to be posting on LinkedIn, I'm not going to post the same exact thing on Instagram. Like, kills me when I see somebody put a link in their caption on Instagram. Like, that's no one can access that. Like, you can't even copy. You'd have to screenshot it and then to get the link out of it. Anyway, so making sure you're tailoring your assets for each specific platform. And then also making sure you're testing that content. So you're not just, personally, I have a dog account, and that's when I like to try all the new features on different platforms, because I'm like, oh, this English Mastiff, it doesn't really matter with it. But then I'm learning these different tools and techniques and different platform features. That's more specific to like TikTok or for Instagram. But, you're still testing these features, but it's important to test. And still with even like different content types on LinkedIn, like let's say you're testing carousels versus videos, you're always testing something. It's important. And then making sure you're seeing how the posts perform. If you're not measuring any, or you're not paying attention to any analytics, people are going to think you're a joke. Okay. Like, especially if you're working in a data company like that runs their whole entire business on data, or, you have to just see how your testing performed. So you need to be checking those metrics. So, and then, so I kind of touched on this. So we want to abandon that post and pray, like let's use some strategic, just be strategic about how you're posting. I am constantly always reading about how I can keep up on different algorithm updates on LinkedIn. And I can tell you some things I follow afterwards or later on. But being sometimes it's just being intentional about what you're posting as well. Sometimes you can like post like really dumb, stupid, funny, haha stuff. And if that's part of your brand and your strategy, go for it. But like, being more strategic about what you're posting, and then adopting best practices. And then again, driving into the data-driven excellence. So make sure you're leveraging SEO and doing everything you need to do. I'm going to keep on going. So the algorithm for me is Cookie Monster. I think that's my favorite analogy. And it's like, I just think of like, it's like me want cookies, but I should dress up like that next time. But I think of like, you don't know what time of the day Cookie Monster wants his cookies. You don't know if he wants crumble or if he wants chip or if he wants peanut butter or red velvet with cream cheese frosting. And so it's important to keep reading about different best practices and different strategy and testing that content. Like, well, maybe, for instance, as a business posting on LinkedIn on the weekends, your posts usually don't go anywhere. Okay. Like no one wants to be working at that time unless let's say you're in Israel and they work like, they're off Thursday through, they start, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or I forget. I think it's Friday and Saturday are their weekends. So like Sunday might perform a little differently if you're like based on where you're at. But algorithm is Cookie Monster. Feed the machine what it craves. All right. So mastering the content calendar. I feel like I'm speeding through this. So again, analyzing your past performance of different posts. I guess I can look up here. Making sure you've defined these key themes and frequency for each platform. The grid setup, if Instagram is something that you're really trying to market on. I know that I think they have like, what is it called? Edits now. And it'll give you like the grid layout, and you can see like how your scheduled post will appear if that's something you're looking to do. Also, there's like buffer and different, there's different social publishing tools that'll give you that grid feature if that's something, but you're able to map it out, and then you're able to automate some of this through different programs. What do I have? Review analytics weekly, refine your future cookie badges. Yeah. So you can schedule things out. This is how social media managers go on vacation. You schedule everything, and then you're like, okay, it's all good. And like people, I'm like, hopefully there's not a typo, and there usually isn't, because I have 6-7 rounds of approval. It's all good. But that stage. But there's ways and tools that you can use to leverage making your life a lot easier. And now it's nice because now you can like post natively or schedule everything natively on like LinkedIn, and I think TikTok has a lot of the platforms now. You can schedule natively in the platform, which is nice, and edit it now too. I think LinkedIn, that was like recent thing. Again, did your content flop? Look at this wonderful photo from from AI created for me. But measuring your success with analytics, again, it just like, if you're just posting things and you're not looking at how they performed, it's like, what are you doing here? So just track your shit. All right, so content life cycle and timeline. I'll get into this slide. All right, my partner is a little older than I am, and so he watches his fun like downtime videos. He's using YouTube Shorts, which I call old man TikTok. And I'm like, he'll be watching a video and I can hear the song in the background. I'm singing along to the song, I might be getting ready, whatever. He's like, you know this? And I'm like, yeah, it was popular like maybe 6 to 8 weeks ago on TikTok. I mean, because all this stuff, really, all the content and trends start on TikTok. So if you're going to be a part of this content game and might as well just start where it starts. Start where it originates. So a lot of trends are starting with TikTok, then they'll go over to Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and then, from Facebook, and then to YouTube Shorts. And I kind of have this little timeline here created. Little Gemini, my bestie, created this image. But, if you're going to be trying to hop on trends to grow whatever it is that you're marketing, I would recommend making a TikTok. I feel like now it doesn't have that Chinese government, now you got the Oracle Confusion Cloud people in it. So that's its whole nother thing there. I won't get into that. But TikTok is great. A lot of the videos that I make for the ski shop that I work freelance for, I'll just make in, sometimes I'll film and edit content and I'll edit it in like Premiere Pro and do all that. And then I'll publish it out. Or if it's like more fun and short, lively, whatever, I'll make it in TikTok. So I'm kind of doing a mix of both. But again, I'm testing the content and measuring the analytics. So, I'm A/B testing. It's good. Let's keep on going. Understanding your target audience. So whatever you're marketing, you want to understand your audience, who you're marketing to. If it's, let's say it's like Gen Z, young millennials, whatever it might be, as much as it might grind your gears to be on TikTok, at least you can kind of see what's going on, or you can hire a younger person and have them manage it for you. But knowing which audience, obviously Instagram Reels, it's going to be more like millennials, maybe some Gen Z, or what is it, Gen X. And then, who's on Facebook. It's all the people that you like. It's like my Aunt Margaret. Love her. Love you, Aunt Margaret, if she's ever saying this. But I'm like, I feel like when I was a younger adult, I really got heavily involved into the privacy settings on who could see my content, who could comment, who could do all that. And I'm like, wow, look where it got me today. I'm doing okay. And then also YouTube Shorts. And I feel like if you have longer form content and you're trying to drive your people to see more of your content on YouTube Shorts is great for that. You can actively push people and then you're staying within the platform. And of course, each platform wants you to stay within its platform. LinkedIn's the same way. And so that's kind of there. Is anybody here on TikTok? Let's just do a show of hands. Ooh, Raymond. Okay. 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 See? Good job. And sometimes, like in the B2B world, being on Instagram, for instance, is purely like an HR scheme. You're just posting culture photos. You're not going to find anyone that wants to buy fraud prevention software through any advertising or organic social on a lot of these. But on a freelance thing, I wanted to try to play into, I didn't know if anybody was more B2B or if it was also more freelance, whatever, or direct to consumer. So We have these. Okay. All right. Blueprint for going viral. I have some examples after this, but this just talks about like TikTok loves if you can get something that's like repetitive. You'll see some people that structure their videos. It'll like at the end, it'll be like, and this is why you, and then it like starts at the beginning and it'll kind of loop because that's the structure that is really takes off more so on TikTok. And then, now people, like I feel like on Instagram, everything usually has to be like perfect and it's like edited to perfection because that's what like the millennials that have been on social media forever kind of expect. But, TikTok is all about like less than perfect sort of a thing, like when you're making these videos because you're trying to be more authentic. Extreme virality, low effort required, high, let's say, more effort. And what do we got under shorts? I don't really personally use a ton of shorts, but I feel like I know enough about it that I can speak to you on it. But we have this. If you would like a copy of this, let me know and I'm happy to send it your way. Okay, let's do some fun stuff. So this is an example of a loop video. I was at Brundage. And I feel like everyone was at Brundage because Brundage was like the only mountain in December. It was this December 27th that had snow. This video here, let me go to this. Why do I have Photoshop open? We'll just ignore my 17 open stickies. Okay.
Legs.
Okay, we'll unmute this.
Let's do that.
And this, I think, has 1.5 million likes, and I think it has, I don't know where the views are at now. It was at like 8.2 or something. All right, we'll mute it a little bit now. Not sure where, I don't use TikTok desktop, so I'm like, where is the UX is a little different. But yeah, I have this, like who wasn't at Brundage, this weekend. Let's go back to this. So again, and everyone in the comments, yeah, I think at the time it was 8.2 million views. And this gained the account, first off, the TikTok account, when I first started working with Eco Lounge, it was like one of the high school girls who worked at the shop helped run it. And the owner's like, oh yeah, Grace does our TikTok. It's wonderful. I went and I logged into TikTok. It has 34 followers. I'm like, okay, yeah, perfect. We have room to grow. So I'm like, this really isn't driving anything. This is more like a fun side thing. So this video actually helped. Oh, I should go back into present slideshow mode. Sorry. This video helped grow like 2,200 followers, like in a course of like a week. And I'm like, okay, that did pretty well. And I actually was on, a few weeks later, I was on a chairlift, on bear chair going up, and there was this guy and they were talking about this video. And I was like, oh my God, how cool is that? They were like, it's our first time to Brundage and we looked it up on TikTok, what we were gonna expect, and they saw this. And I was like, oh yeah, that's my video. And it's like all the people in the comments are just taking screenshots of people running into each other. And like, there's like all of this. And I was like, and people, I feel like TikTok is more of that like unserious generation or audience, if you will. And I was thinking like, oh, when I do the audio, I'm like, I've seen this audio and like Ski Talk used before, and I had it saved. And as I was doing my research, commonly known as doom scrolling, and I had saved this audio, and I was thinking originally like, oh, I could do something like Ants Go Marching by like Dave Matthews or something. And I was like, no, know your audience. They're not going to care about Dave Matthews. I love Dave Matthews, but I'm like, that's not the audience we're going for. They're doing the unserious stuff. I'm going to use the Wii audio, and it just took off. So that was really cool. We had that. Okay, I could go on for a while here. Yeah, native effects. I also sped it up, like, I don't know, like 1.5 speed in the TikTok app when I edited this. And people were just like, they want to come to their own conclusion. Like they want to feel like, oh, they're smart. Like they put like ants in the thing or like an ant gif or, they want to sat on serious generation. And I was really proud because it, the SEO came as like Brundage Ski Resort getting off lift, which I have another video on, but we're not going to look at that. Anyway, then for Instagram, this one, I did this silly video with the owner mic. I always like to Instagram again. So when I'm posting on Instagram, I know everyone wants it a little bit more fine-tuned, more refined. So I make sure I have a mic on here, but I have like Rode microphones and I have 2 of them, the transmitter anyway. And I always make sure he's mic'd up. You have great audio. Usually, it's so much cleaner. And I feel like that's what Instagram also appreciates. So this video, let me just get out of here. So my whole thing is when I'm posting for Eco Lounge, I'm trying to increase my organic reach. So I'm trying to use my best practices and my knowledge to expand my reach to just a broader audience and this is what the videos have been doing. It's been great. So let me go to this other silly video example. Okay. Let's see here. Oops.
You get the second skin for free.
Look, half off. So the skis are half off. He does this silly bit.
For free.
And it's just stupid. It's silly, it's stupid. But again, we're not in B2B land. We're in ski land. So it's fine. It works.
For free.
I know by my demographics that a lot of my viewers are men. Okay, I feel like there's a lot of that here tonight. But so I'm like, perfect. We'll start off strong with like some heavy metal and some eagle calls. I'm like, okay, great. Which is, not to be stereotypical, but know your audience. And it's just silly. And this has a decent amount of likes, but the shares on it, which is not showing me here. Let's go back to this. Oh yeah, it's still growing, but the shares, there's like 586 shares, which I'm like, that's pretty good for my little local ski shop. And he goes, Liz, I really want to get a video out there, maybe like a paid promotion video. And I said, oh, okay, let's just maybe we try this first before you have to put spend behind anything. And I'm like, this is a really good organic reach for what you're, without putting any money behind it. Like, even if you were to put money behind it, you're not going to get the same. This has 152,000 views. And you can tell by like the metrics. Again, I'm checking the metrics always. Like who's seeing this content? How's it performing? So yeah, let's see here. I did not include any examples for Facebook or YouTube Shorts because that's not where I'm really marketing. Yes.
How much of the 152 is local?
That's a good question. I'm sure I can look into that more. But under my free analytics, my free 99, I feel like if I was using like Dream data or something like that, I could capture more of that. But that's what I would use more in our, yes.
Yeah. You brought up because you wanted to pay for it. Do you find that paying for content actually helps at all? Because almost out of principle, I can sniff it out immediately and I skip it.
Yes, that's how I feel. I rather it be more organic or like native, organic, funny, just, playing into seeing how videos perform, how they're, it's fun when one takes off or something. And it's fun when you get a few of them every so often. And I'm like, well, if you're already getting a few of them, why put spend on it? And he's not looking for the metrics. He's like, hey, Liz, like someone came into the shop and they said they saw something on TikTok. I'm like, great, love that. And they're like, yeah, and they bought blah. I'm like, perfect. So that's the conversion that I'm looking at with Eco Lounge here. So it's not really super serious versus what you would do like, real business kind of like what I do on my 9 to 5. So you could get a mix in between, but just find your own balance. But it is what it is. Sometimes it's different. So okay, I wanted to add LinkedIn into this cycle. And so we have TikTok, Instagram, we have YouTube Shorts, we have Facebook, which Aunt Margaret still sends me alpaca videos on because I went through an alpaca phase when I was like 14. Anyway, I digress. And then we also have LinkedIn. I feel like somebody, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. Her name is Corporate Natalie on a lot of social media. I recommend following her. She does a really good job about posting across this platform, and all of her, a lot of her videos can connect with like all audiences, and she does a lot of like corporate humor, I would say. And so she's a really good example. There's some LinkedIn creators that are also on but it's again making fun of maybe like work or I haven't found someone that's like, I work in identity and fraud. I haven't found someone that's able to go on all of these platforms and be successful across the board. So depends again what you're really marketing and what your goals are, and tailoring different strategies, but to whatever your end goal is. Okay. AI. Who uses AI in here? Yeah, a regular basis. Cool. AI is an intern, not a director. I think it's anytime I see, usually it's the salespeople. Okay, if you're in sales, I'm sorry. But usually if I see a rocket ship in your post on LinkedIn, I'm like, ChatGPT wrote that, like all of it, like the layout, everything. I'm like, oh, okay. And I think it's smart to use it as like a jumping off point, or if you're like building out a gem, or you're really customizing, your voice, and you've been using it for a long time. Please don't just use a rocket ship on LinkedIn. I'll know it. It'll make my skin crawl. But again, using it, you're the expert. You're the subject matter expert. You know what's best. I feel like you're all professionals. I don't have to say that all to you, but yeah. And I mean, like if you're looking to make a campaign strategy, for instance, I used Mike, the owner of Eco Lounge, wanted to do like a 12-day Christmas campaign. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to use Gemini and have it map out some content ideas, and I can tweak them. And I'm like, all right, this is going to be, I don't need to have videos for each one. I can do some photos. I can mix and match. It'll be fine. But it was a great way to be like, I am like drained from the end of the year of like my already 9 to 5, and I'm like, okay, how do I be creative? Or it's a good jumping off point. It can help you be smart about it. It's like, obviously these are I kept it pretty basic. I feel like you all probably have a better idea, and I have like a whole Reddit thing that I can give you or share with you later. But for me, it's evolved and it's always evolving. But I feel like I started using Google Gemini exclusively in the beginning of like 2024 because I was on like this beta test with Count and its parent company. But like from this video, help me write an Instagram reel copy for not X like Twitter, but for like whatever brand account, whatever your brand's account is called. And then like I also use like for SEO, what are the top 5 hashtags for best organic reach? I use that one like all the time. And so I started with doing my videos in Premiere and pull it, because I would have to make them like accessible and compliant. So I would have to correct the transcript regardless. And then it'd be like, well, from this, either it's like a video webinar and or you're editing a webinar, you're closed captioning. I take the caption track and I'll like put it into Gemini, and I'll have it write me like a social post, or I'll have it tell me which snippets it thinks I should clip from it to help me like clip those in Premiere. Now there's like tools and softwares that already do that for you, like SQL, or I think Wistia now does it too. But from the video transcript, that was just so huge. And now I'm able to just take the videos that I'm creating either in Premiere or on TikTok, and I'll just upload them into Gemini and be like, from this video, how should I write my copy? And it'll give me like 3 best, because I've already built out what the brand voice looks like and I've done all that. And so, you know, you can really start to expedite your process. These are pretty basic because, again, hack for it, I didn't know who was going to come. All right. This just kind of goes into that local business promo again, writing community focused TikTok, blah, 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 blah. I mean, TikTok's going to have like so usually like a shorter copy. I feel like TikTok really has evolved. It used to be like you'd use these random ass hashtags that were like Tide Pod Challenge. No, you would never do that, but it would be like some sort of like brand affiliated, like that hashtag that was like going viral at the time. Like that's maybe like 2022, 2023. And now social media has really shifted toward SEO focused. So that's great if you have any marketing experience. That really helps your strategy. So little example there. And then just because I come from a B2B background, making sure, you know, it's not just like fraud prevention software all the time. I feel like I just imagine my JP voice, if you know that movie. Grandma's boy reference there. But making sure you're incorporating like workplace culture photos and, you know, just giving it more of like a persona. A strategy that I found helpful with B2B is leveraging subject matter experts in my organization. So whether that's like the sales team is going to a conference and they're going to be speaking at said conference. All right, great. Let's get your face and name and your presence out there before you even go to the show. So people, when they're scrolling on LinkedIn in the morning instead of working, because that's, I feel like, the work appropriate social media. So you're at your desk and you're scrolling and then you see like Scott's video come up and he's like, hey, LinkedIn, blah, blah, blah. You know, then you've already kind of like, if you're anxious on meeting someone, you know, you already maybe feel a little bit more personable, or you've already seen that person. It kind of makes them more humanized, even though you're behind your screen. So, and approachable. And so getting people out there. So I've also done this with like a VP of AI or data analytics, Dilip. And, you know, just giving him, he's like, I really want to make videos like Scott. And like, I'm like, great. I would love to advertise your white paper, this report that's dry as hell. Like, let's make it more personable. And so adding those like human components to your software you're selling, or, you know, even, when I was presenting this at Hackford, I had someone that was like, well, I only like to use AI people. And I was like, well, that's not really authentic. What if you just like showed something like with your hands, or, you know, just had some sort of more human element so it's not so fake, like how you were saying, how when you see like an ad, you just want to go on a scroll because you're like, I'm not even interested. It just doesn't feel authentic. So what do I have here? I kind of went on a tangent. Sorry, guys. But yeah, humanize, recruitment. HR loves you if you post things that are like hiring and they're like, here's our team bowling photo. And like, by the way, we're hiring for a data scientist or whatever, you know, that's a good way to like slip it in. But again, you're feeling authentic. Also tagging people on LinkedIn, great way to, yeah, the party's just getting started. Okay, cool. But you know, tagging people, expanding that organic reach really helps. And people love that, especially if they don't really ever post, they can just easily repost that or something, you know. So let's see here. Supportive presence, shifting selling, connecting. Yep. We're highlighting people. I don't know. Is anybody familiar with employee advocacy? No? Okay, that's another can of words. We'll save that for another presentation. So yeah, this just goes into that subject matter expert led content, using the people. Maybe you're the expert. That's why I have Mike from Eco Lounge do all these videos. It's his shop. He should be doing it. And people know him because he's like been in the community for 20 years. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's let's do it, you know, trying to highlight the people that are passionate the most. And it just really adds a different level of human element to it. And yeah. Okie dokie. All right. I think I'm done yapping for a little bit. Yes, Aaron.
How did you get past like that stereotype of like actually producing a video or feed? If I was like,
okay. I personally, I'm on TikTok. I do not follow any of my things that I just talked about. And, but kind of just being out there, like, I don't know. I don't follow a lot of people I know in real life on TikTok. And sometimes just talking to strangers is almost kind of better than just, and it's a good way for me to like A/B test content, try these features out, see like, you know, what, you know, performs well. If I share a new thrift store on TikTok, people love it. But, you know, I just want to dink around my garden. Meh. But it felt like, you know, I just took a video. I want to put it somewhere. Why not? Like, I'm trying to, even like with myself, like, okay, if I can do this, I can feel more comfortable speaking at a webinar. Or I can, you know, so lean into the uncomfortable is my recommendation, I think, from that.
one of the, you know, I've been wanting just kind of like an employee kind of focus thing, but like everyone also do quoted instead of trophy and on the camera.
Okay, I'm really good at editing. And so I can tell people, hey, I'm really good at editing. And we have 30 minutes to record this 15-second clip. So take as much time as you want. If you mess up, that's fine. Like, I think I always try to go to people that I have a relationship with. And then if I, you know, have a good working relationship with them and they're just, I'm like, the camera's here, but you're just talking to me. You don't have to look at the camera. You can just look at me and I'm holding it in a sense with a gimbal or something to, you know, make them feel more comfortable. Where's Mike at? Like, yeah, I feel like, you know, you don't, every time a camera comes out, you make a weird face. Okay? Because you feel uncomfortable. Yeah.
Except if it's a picture.
Yes, but we made that one video that one time where you did the Die Hard laugh with the Nerf machine gun, and you loved being in that video. That's fine. So maybe
Audio.
Anyway, I'll pull up the video. It'll be fine. It was like it was about locking your fraud strategy for the Christmas season that was coming around. It was fun. Anyway, but I think starting with someone you feel more comfortable with is a good place to start. And then if that video is a success by highlighting like that star of the day, that person, then other people will be more willing to do it. That would be my recommendation. And just reassurance.
Do you have a go-to mic that you like to use?
The DJI mics are really good. Those were kind of out of my budget at the time. I have like a Rode mic, RODE. Yeah. There are different mics that are like, get what you pay for a little bit, but there are those mics that are like $20 that are like these little clip-on, you know, but it depends on what your budget is. Yes.
It sounds like mainly what's resonated with people is video. That's like the hardest thing to do, obviously.
Yes.
What percentage of video do you do versus just text versus images?
Obviously some of these, I would do, okay, so if it's TikTok, I'll do probably like 80% video, 20% photos. But now photos are like becoming more of a thing on TikTok. And also they have more like these like stagnant posts that you can just ask a question and people will respond in the comments, like an open-ended question, because everyone likes to give their advice on there. But if it's like LinkedIn, for instance, for my like more 9-to-5 job, that's like I'm using like carousels are really a good way to achieve organic reach. Video, but like again, like if you're trying to drive traffic to your website from a blog, you know, not the best but it still needs to be in the calendar for like a healthy mix of content. So depends on your platform, depends on your audience. There's a lot of variables there. no solid answers are here. Yes.
So, like in his position, is trying to think to like videos to make it. There's multiple formats, right?
Yeah.
It'll be like a meet, and everybody will do like a similar kind of video or something like that. But that won't necessarily. A format on TikTok won't translate.
Mm-hmm.
Right. How do you go about researching to figure out, which form, like if I'm in the space and I'm like, well, what is hot? Like I'm not sitting behind my camera set or and phone, my phone watching all this different content all day. But if I want to like research and understand kind of the landscape, do you have like a place to go to?
On TikTok, they have what's called creator search insights, and you can just type it into your search bar and it'll give you like what's trending and like content gaps and like how you can fill the void with different content. And it'll give you like hashtags you can post with your content, and it'll give you like text ideas. It'll really lay it out for you. So that's like a option. Honestly, a lot of doom scrolling. I hate to say it, but a lot of doom scrolling and research. But like let's say I find something I like that I want to recreate, I'll screenshot it or I'll save it, or depending on where I'm at, or I'll copy the link and I'll Slack it to my teammates. And I'll be like, hey, this is a cool idea. We should do something like this. And so I hate to say, like, I don't think there's like one good answer for that. There's not, but there's people I follow, what is it? It's like Marketing Millennials or Girl Parlor Marketing, or there's this lady that owns one of them. Her name is like Annie Mae Hodge. She has some really good tips, and people always steal them. So she always puts like a fake Easter egg in them for like people that steal her content. But there's different people that you can follow to kind of stay up on maybe some best practices or new features that are coming out that you can try and leverage to boost your reach. I don't know if that, yeah.
Well, are there like tools that you like as far as gathering data metrics across these platforms?
Right now, I'm learning Dream Data. That's been really cool. They also have a connection with LinkedIn. Because usually LinkedIn doesn't like to share their data with anyone, but this one does have like a loop in, so that's really cool. I've done a lot of like media monitoring and social media monitoring. If you are listening for competitors or different things like that, I've used Meltwater for that. I'm using Trigify right now for some other things. So you can listen to like what's out there, and then you're not constantly doom scrolling. So if there's something that you're a specific audience and whatnot, you can use, there's different platforms, and you could, I'm sure, get a whole education from Gemini or ChatGPT from a lot of those. Right now, my next one is Claude that I'm exploring. Yes.
I think so. Claude is right at like kind of like AI space. Claude is probably your best friend for that.
Yeah.
Or being schedule something. He says, "Now I want to run every day at 5 a.m. or they what the status. These are top from trends on the different channels that will send out free." Oh.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I just submitted my ticket for corporate Claude today, so I'm excited. Yes.
Yeah, I was curious if you had like a general framework or any sort of like structure that you use when you just like kind of start, because like I can see people who like post on Instagram and TikTok, and like my intuitive like gut will tell me, okay, that makes sense for a ski shop or whatever, but then it kind of doesn't always translate very well to like for what I'm doing. And the little bit of marketing I've done was in a very dry corporate space, which it was network troubleshooting. So, very dry. So like trying to figure out what does and does not work, and then obviously know like, okay, why don't I just try stuff? Is there any sort of like basic like structure that you use, or do you just sort of like use your gut until you get to an unknown and then just?
I feel like I've been in marketing long enough that I'm like just using my gut because I've kind of surrounded myself with all of this. But I mean, you could, as long as you're posting at least 2 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week on LinkedIn is like ideal. Don't post more than 2 times a day. Your audience is going to hate you. But then there's audience, like for TikTok, like if you're posting 3 times a day, that's great. That's what that algorithm wants. But I'm like, I like to have a life. So not a total, like usually like every other Friday, I want to try to post a culture post, or, you know, there's like things that I've found, like Fridays are great for a team culture, HR kind of oriented thing, or like a hiring thing with a team photo. But I try to do like 2 of those a month. And then, you know, if there's an event, let's say there's a webinar, the webinar is focused on a report. Like we're gonna have one post about the webinar. A few days later, we'll advertise the report. Then we'll talk about the speakers and tag the speakers in the webinar next week. And then, you know, but like, if you're going to have a webinar, don't advertise it 3 months in advance. Make probably like 2 weeks. Like, what about yourself? You're not going to remember something you booked 3 months ago unless it's a trip to Hawaii. But, you know, so I think you kind of got to play with it. That's, again, that A/B testing content. I don't think there's like a one size fits all thing, but I feel like you could leverage, if you're trying to do like a campaign or just a social calendar, you can leverage AI to kind of get like, tell it about your audience, tell it about what you want it to do. You are a social media marketer for a networking company, like, you know, tell it what it needs to do. And then it might give you like a draft or a layout or an overview of what you could do. And then test a few of those options and then kind of, again, check those analytics and then see how it's doing. And then maybe you can kind of guess and check moving forward. But I don't think there's one like perfect ideal thing, you know.
I didn't figure there'd be a perfect. I thought maybe there'd be like some generic flow chart of like, is it more small business or personal, or is it like super corporate? Okay.
Yeah.
Don't need to. Or I mean, I'm saying that kind of jokingly, but
yeah,
a general sort of thing. I didn't know.
I'm sure you could find one out there, but I personally don't use one. So I kind of use my knowledge. I just use my kind of strategy of what we covered and run with it. And if it's successful, great. If it's not working, change something, pivot, and figure out what you can do differently. Or I just start stalking Visa and MasterCard. And I'm like, all right, what are they doing? And, you know, trying to copy some of that. And again, like with, you know, I feel like I grew up in this like plagiarism world, you know, but in the land of TikTok, or if it's a trend or an inspiration, as long as you tag the creator that you were inspired by, it's fine to like recreate that idea. So depending on, you know, giving that person credit and then just making it your own, go run with it. I feel like that's, if you look at all the like TikTok trends, it's like shout out to blah, 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 dance credit, blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, it's so as long as you credit them, you can kind of take that idea and make it your own. So yes and check. Sorry, no solid answer on that, Zach. All right. Does anybody have any other questions? I think.
So
yeah.
What are you using for like publishing, like for like scheduling your publishing?
Right now I'm just using native stuff. I've used Hootsuite. I've used HubSpot has one. It's not the greatest. I think I have HubSpot access right now. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. I can just use my own knowledge and leverage AI. It'll be fine. But I've used Sprout Social in the past, and all of these scheduling platforms also usually come with like a employee advocacy, which is like where you're able to publish that content on your calendar, and then you're like can send it to employee advocacy, and that means it looks like your staff or your team wrote it. They didn't write anything. They just went in and had access, and they could schedule all these posts out like once a week, and they go in and they just like, oh, this sounds like I'm trying to improve my social selling index. And they go in and they just like have this content spoon fed to them. So that's what employee advocacy does. And a lot of them are like gamified. So if your content does well and you're using the platform, then you can win like gift cards and like, here's $200 to Amazon or something like that. So it depends on the level of stuff. But there's so many out there. And I think you'd have to, I've always just had one like in my, that was approved already. So, but I don't use one for my like freelance thing. I just usually have things teed up and I just schedule it out within the natively. But There's
Do you use like any social media aggregator just so instead of like doing like doom scrolling, you can just have everything in one spot?
No, I should, because then I would have less screen time. But honestly, it's kind of my escape. And, at the end of the day, I'm like, right now, again, I mentioned I'm like 5 weeks in, I'm drinking from the fire hose, and I kind of like to doom scroll. Or just look up recipes. And I used to use Google to look up things, and now I just ask either Gemini or TikTok to look up anything, and almost these days. So, yeah. How are we feeling? Did we learn anything? Some knowledge, some snacks? All right. Again, if you would like a copy of this, I'm happy to send it to you. My name's Liz Taylor. There's all my information. I've had the same phone number since 7th grade, so go for it. And my design email, my LinkedIn, happy to always connect on there. If you would like to see my portfolio, I'm happy to share it with you. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Thanks for your time today, you guys.
Yeah, you gonna send that PowerPoint to us?
I will send you whatever you'd like. Yes.